Perhaps the hardest part about what we do as individual investors is learning to sift through all the noise to find those golden opportunities to invest in. With thousands of stocks to choose from, how does one know where to start? While it may feel overwhelming and impossible at times, it's really not once you develop great habits and routines to help guide you. Specifically, having a solid weekend routine is crucial to your success. And I know weekend work never sounds fun, but this particular routine works faster than you'd think for sifting through a few thousand stocks. And it can give you a serious leg up on the week ahead for finding fresh stock ideas. Another thing to note is that this weekend routine doesn't have to be done on the weekend. If you'd rather do it midweek, that works as well. The only thing that matters is that you have a period of around 2 hours to complete the routine. For this Investors Corner installment, I spoke to IBD's Mike Webster, who is a self-proclaimed Watchlist junkie, longtime associate of IBD founder William O'Neill, and IBD's current senior market strategist. In this tutorial, Mike walked me through in great detail how to create an airtight watch list using IBD's Market Surge charting tool.
So we're going to walk you through how to do things as quickly as possible and to see as many stocks as you possibly can in a short period of time. And there's some tricks I'll share with you to really, speed things up. The good starting point is the growth 250. So that has, be anywhere from 100 names to 300 names in there. And we're going to take that and put it into one list. So we're going to just copy all of these. There's a few different ways of doing it, but we're just going to copy all this down to 300. And then we're going to put it into a new list. And I've got a new list here that I've just labeled to research.
From here, Mike pulled from several key pre-made watch lists already available on Market Search. In addition to the Growth 250, we copy-pasted from the IBD 50 and Big Cap 20, as well as some of Mike's own screens he created to find stocks outside of these lists. Rather than go through each of these groupings separately, the key is to copy-paste them into one giant list to avoid any duplication and therefore wasted time.
And we don't want to look at the same stock, 3, 4, 5 times. So we want to dump everything into just one list. And I just call that my to research list. You'll see that now we have 308. So we only really added 8 new stocks because there was a lot of duplication. We're going to do the same thing with a Big Cap 20.
The next stock lists you'll want to add to your to research master list, if you have access, are Mike Webster's very own ready and watch lists. These lists are available daily to IBD Live subscribers.
I personally update the IBD watch list, the IBD Live watch list, both the watch list and the ready list. And that's really what we're building right now is you are going to be building your own universe list or watch list, as well as a ready list. And we're going to talk about the differences of those. So we're going to start off with the IBD watch list, which currently has 334 names. That's again, I share that daily with everyone. That's how I build it every day. I share it with everyone who uses IBD Live. So we're going to dump these 334 into the to research list, and let's see how many we get. So 143 new names. So now we have a total of 452.
Next, we moved on to the screen building process to mine even more possible stocks for our master to research list. The screening process helps us catch stocks that may not have made it onto any of IBD's default lists. You'll want to do this step as you may find hidden budding opportunities here.
I'm just going to start from scratch with a new one and just show you how easy it is to build a screen that we're going to add to this list. So I'm just going to hit new screen and we're going to just call it fun times because building screens should be fun for you. I'm a screen junkie. It's a ton of fun. It really is. So we're going to start off with our favorite.
A key feature of building stock screens in Market Surge is the favorite buttons. Whenever you find something in your screen building process that you use a lot, you'll want to click on the little star icon next to it. There are many basic criteria in top stocks that we look for that should be a basic starting point for sifting good stocks from bad ones, such as finding stocks with an acceleration in earnings growth for the last 3 to 4 quarters.
I'm just going to walk you through how I tend to build a screen. There's some basic parameters I use, and then some very specific ones depending on what I'm looking for. So I always want to, if I'm searching for closed-end funds or ETFs, I'm going to do a specific screen for that. That's not what we're doing today. So I'm going to exclude those with this one here. I'm just going to say no. And you'll see up here that we started off with a database of over 10,000 stocks. That already brought it down to 6,200. The next thing, I'm going to just go over some basics. I don't want anything that's cheap in price. So I'm going to go $10 or higher. And you're always looking when you're building screens, you want to start with the very basic parameters first and always be looking to see how many it excludes. So now we're down to 3,400, still a little bit too much, or a lot too much, really. So next we're going to go to dollar volume.
Dollar volume is simply the current share price times the 50-day average volume of shares traded, which gives you how many dollars are really flowing through that stock on a daily basis. This is a criteria Mike has been using for decades. His ideal average dollar volume minimum is 20 million.
So now we have no closed-end funds, stocks over $10, and at least $20 million volume. So we have 1,600 stocks. That's still a little too much for most people. So some basic things we want to do is only look at things that we might buy. So most people aren't going to buy things under the 200-day. Well, you really shouldn't if you're following the IBD methodology. So we're going to say, put that at 0. And that brought it down by now to 1,200. So that's saying that it has to be at least above its 200 day. Now, if a stock is not traded 200 days, then it will still make it through this list. So that's why we keep it at 0. And we're going to do the same thing with our 50-day at 0.
That brought the watch list down to almost 1,000 stocks. Again, that's still a lot of stocks for most people. So Mike then added a few more parameters to narrow things down.
Here are some of my favorite things that I like to look for. So if you were doing this and, let's say the market closed weak and it closed in the bottom part of its closing range, the spread for the day, then you want to look for stocks that had outperformed that. So let's just look today at where the NASDAQ was. So as we're recording this, the NASDAQ closed really at the top of the range, or I'll just pull up SPY so we can see the closing range. And the closing range on that is 93. So you can see that in the track price. That's saying that if it closed at its high, it would be 100. If it closed at the bottom, it would be 0. In the middle, it would be 50. So on a day like today, where it was very strong, we went into new high ground, we want to look for stocks that were unusually strong. So with S&P up 1.2% on the day, back in our fun times screen, we want to look for things that were up at least 1.2. So we're going to go to our price percent change. Let's go and say we wanted to outperform, show some relative strength on the day, and we're going to say 1.5. So this is now only stocks that were up 1.5% or more. So now we've got it down to 300. And since the closing range on the market was so high, we don't want to put it at 93. That's a bit too restrictive. So we're going to put this to 75. To 75 for the daily closing range.
This narrowed the number of stocks on this screen to a much more manageable 235 names. But if that number is still a little too high for your tastes, Mike had one more criteria to throw in.
Now, if this is still too many for you, a good overall rating to use, one that I created over 20 years ago, and it was one of Bill's favorites. He liked Bill O'Neill, the founder of IBD. He liked 88 or higher. So let's put that in there. I like 80. 80 is fine, but he liked 88. So we're going to go with what Bill would have done. So now we've got very manageable 107 names that are making it through there.
If you've been following along up till this point so far, you can probably guess what Mike is going to do next. merge the screen with our master to research list we started earlier.
So I'm going to just kind of select all of these, and I'm going to put it, again, I'm just dragging it over, and you can see the little 107 there. So to make sure that you actually got all of them, and we're putting it in the to research. Let's see if that added any. It added 13 symbols.
So let's recap what we've done so far. We first created a to research list where we dumped the growth 250, the IBD 50, the big cap 20, and all the results from the new screen we just created. Now we have a list of around 466 stocks in total after pulling from those 4 places. Now, some people may say that's far too many to sift through in a matter of an hour or 2, but you'd be very surprised. Next, Mike walked me through how he organizes his list to be able to sift through all those names efficiently and effectively.
I'm going to show you how to do this really quickly. And the way you do it on a weekend would be to go through it by industry group first and then do a secondary sort on there. So we're going to take, we've got the industry group name in there. Let's go ahead and add the industry group ranker. You know what? In fact, we're going to just use the broad sector because that's what I prefer to do, is the broad sector rather than the 197. And with that one, we don't currently have a rating on it, so we'll just do that alphabetical.
The point here is that we're going to compare apples to apples by first reviewing all of the stocks in a given sector before moving on to another sector for review.
So I'm going to lock this in place. So I've sorted it by sector, IBD sector. Now I've locked that in, and that's our number 1 lock. And then our number 2 lock is going to be the composite rating. So that's that overall rating. And so we're going to click that once, make sure that's in descending order with 99 being the best. We're going to see that first. We're going to go ahead and lock that in place. So now we have sectors by alphabetical, then we have the composite in descending order. And as a tiebreaker, we'll just do the average dollar volume, so the most liquid. So if there are 2 composites at 99 or at 98, we're going to look at the most liquid first, and we're going to lock that in place. So we've got number 1, number 2, now number 3.
Now, before we review our list, what happens if you're merging this new to research list with yesterday's already created watch list?
Now, if you already have an existing watch list, let's say your existing watch list is the growth 250, for example, and we're going to just, or in fact, let's say your watch list is the IBD watch list, the live watch list that I put together every day. We're going to go there. We're going to select everything as we have it here, and then we're going to right click here and we're going to flag all of these. So we're going to flag this here. Now, everything in your current watch list has been flagged. Now you can go over to your to research list. And if you already have that in your watch list, why look at it again, right? We've already looked at that. We know it's on our watch list. So now I would sort this by those flags. And now we're going to hit delete, or we could right click and hit delete. So in market surge, there's lots of times there's duplicate ways to do the same thing. So we're going to delete that. So now we only have 132 names to go through.
Now for the fun part. Finally, after all of that work of gathering the stocks and sorting them efficiently, we get to make our way down the list and ask ourselves if each given stock is worthy to be placed on our official watch list or not. Mike made sure to note which time frame you'll want to use during this process when going through the charts. On IBD's Market Surge charting tool, you have daily, weekly, and monthly. Inevitably, you're going to use all 3. But you're going to want to start with the weekly chart.
There is a happy medium between. You're going to see some things on the weekly chart that you're not going to see on the daily, and vice versa. So right now, we're going to look at the weeklies first, and it's something that Bill O'Neill would always start with the weeklies, then go out to the monthlies and the dailies. This is where the fun begins. All the magic happens. We're going to go through this very quickly, and we're going to just ask ourselves the simple question: is this a stock that we want to follow or not? And our question is really not, you know, oh, is there a problem in the earnings back in 2019 and 20? Is there a problem with, well, there's not really many problems here. Is there a problem with the sales being a little bit on the weak side, or the estimates falling off, or management only 1%, or any of the other things that you could nitpick in here, like the growth rate only being 9% with a stability of 32. Those are all problematics. Those are problems with this particular stock. But if you get hung up looking over here, or even looking down here at a lot of this information, you're never going to get through 466 names. Your goal is to kind of do a triage type of situation. You want to get through this list as quickly as possible. So you simply ask yourself, hey, I'm looking at this stock and made it through my screens somehow. Is this something that I want to keep on my watch list? Okay, yes, we want to. This is, near new highs. It broke out of this base. The RS line is super strong. So we want to follow it. We're just going to flag it. You see up here, there's this little flag button. We're going to flag it there. And then what happens is that puts it in this watch list over here, and our favorites that I have are flag symbols. So you can see it went right in there. And so we're going to go through all of these. And then at the end, we're going to take these flag stocks and we're going to put it into our watch list. We're going to move this over to our watch list later. But for now, we're going to go back through our to research, and we're going to hit the space bar to get our next stock. And as we hit that, the next stock will pop up. And you ask yourself that same question again. Is this a stock that you want to follow? You're not getting hung up over here. You're just looking and say, oh, look, it's only 5% from the pivot, just out of a base, had its power from pivot over here. These are the things that are just going through your mind quickly. When you get this down, you'll be able to do that within 1 to 3 seconds. Trust me, you'll be able to do it that quickly.
As you can see, watch list making doesn't have to be tedious and long. Once you have your dependable routine down, it can be an efficient and effective way to find fresh opportunities before they catch fire.